So good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another Pride event where we're celebrating diversity and the whole spectrum of the LGBTQAI plus community. I'm so happy you could all make it. I want to give a special welcome to our two guests of honor. Firstly, Danusa Ramos Colares, who is tuned in from Lisbon in Portugal, and who is a PhD student of political violence against women in the Portuguese Parliament and the project manager in the IT sector. And Marieta Rios, who is joining us from Brazil. She's a photographer and an international filmmaker, and who will today be sharing one of her movies with us, her debut movie, Praia dos Crush, which is conveying a very strong message and which is fighting for the rights of the LGBTQAI plus community. And I only got to know a few days ago that it's actually her birthday. So happy birthday, Marietta. Yeah, so and I also want to, yeah. I also want to thank everyone who has made this event possible. I want to begin with Ella Roinen, our cherished professor, who is leading the Karls Voices initiative and who have supported us unconditionally and helped create this event. Also a special thanks to Danus and Marietta, of course, and to Tony Tollefson. You've been an amazing support, and to my co-moderator, Ruby, and also Gabriela Schultz, who was part of the organizing committee, and also to all Karls students who actually contributed with poems. And lastly, huge thank you to the audience and that you're here today and that you want to invest your time in creating more awareness about this topic. So I'm Esther Olsen. I will be moderating this event today. I'm from Sweden and I study at the Karlshochschule, International Relations. And I will moderate this event together with Rubina Nampanga. She's a dear friend and a fellow student. So this Pride event will actually focus on art specifically, which is a powerful tool of communication. It empowers the mental well-being of people, and its inspirational language is able to bring us together and also express our innermost identities, which is highly relevant when it comes to fighting for the rights of the LGBTQAI plus community. So I will have to ask once again not to take control of the slides and start. I don't know who is doing that, but I will just have to ask you not to do that. I'm sorry.
Let me do a warning in Portuguese, okay? Because maybe someone who is not following you. Ok, para as pessoas que estão acompanhando e não falam inglês ou a moderadora acabou de pedir para não mexer na apresentação, porque quem assume o controle da apresentação muda a ordem da apresentação para ela. Então, tá mexendo na apresentação dela, tá? Não mexer nos slides, ok?
It's important because when someone takes control, every other participant is moved to this slide, although it's not part of the event just yet. We're coming to the other slides, don't be impatient. Okay, so let me continue. Exactly. So we want to show art as a tool for fighting for the LGBTQAI plus community. And we want to create awareness of what it means of actually to live with a queer identity today and what struggles these individuals might be facing. And I'm looking forward to all the contributions and all thoughts that are going to be mentioned here. And I just want to say this is a safe space. You should all feel open to tell anything that is on your mind, and no one is going to judge you. Now I will call upon my co-moderator, Ruby, who will give us an insight into the structure of this event.
Thank you so much, Esther. Could you take me to that slide, please? I'm waiting for your control, please. Okay, maybe I'll speak as Esther what's upon that. Like in today's session, we organize this event into six structure. One, we are going to have the creative contributions, and these are very thoughtful and impressional poems from students. And from that, we'll be going into the movie or the short film, where we'll show the film, and also our guest of honor, they will be able to give a word about the film. From the film side, we'll be having a short break. From the short break, which is 15 minutes, we go on by presenting the icon individual artist from the LGBT community. And from there, we'll give, as Esther already said, that into the chat link, there is already a link that you can click on it, then put in your anonymous questions or anything that you would like to be discussed later. And at the end of the day, the time we have, your questions and thought will be interacted. And at last, we are going to be having the discussion and the reflection part. Having said that, I'll give the floor back to Esther to take us into the second part. Thank you so much.
Yes, so as Ruby mentioned, there is a link in the chat. So we really want to create an open and inclusive space, and we are aware of that some individuals partaking in the event are not feeling completely comfortable sharing their thoughts in front of a large audience, and that's why it's important. So if you feel like you want to say anything, you have a question towards the cast of the movie or towards the director, you can just write anything you want, and at the end of the day, we're going to come back to you. Now, let's move on to the very first part of this event, which is the creative contributions of the students. So because our queerness is so deeply intertwined with our identity, it possesses the ability to crystallize in certain ways, especially when it comes to art. Poems are an extremely powerful tool to express this inner identity. And that's why we collected 3 poems from different students. 2 were anonymous. And after we finish the poems, we will play some music to let you digest the contents, to take some time to think about it. And after having read all 3 poems, we will come back to you and actually ask you questions, how you felt about them, and if you want to share anything. So now let's move on to the very first poem. It's very short, but it's very powerful. It reads, female, male, me.
Schon mal nochmal ein Telefon geben.
Thank you very much for your attention. Now, let's move on to the second poem. And before going on to that poem, it's actually a poem that was created by me. So I've actually never showed my poems to this huge audience before. And I really want to say something to put it in a context. So I have a poem I want to share, and it has a lot to do with my upbringing. So I grew up in a highly religious environment. I was Christian fundamentalist. It was very intolerant, bordering to almost sectarian, and homophobia was part of everyday life. What was very normal in the churches I grew up in was that they were trying to heal members of the LGBTQ plus community of what they regarded as a mental illness. And they were actually often sending people to conversion therapies. People who came out in the Christian churches where I grew up, I'm not saying this applies to every Christian church, I'm aware there are very progressive churches. People coming out experienced beatings and expulsions from their families. And in the time where I found my own identity, and I was beginning to accept that I'm actually bisexual, it was quite hard. And I actually began writing poems to express like the frustrations I was feeling or the feelings I had in general, and it really helped me. So the poem I'm going to show you right now, it's called How to Slay a Nightingale. And I'm going to read it out loud to you once. So, wise men thought the world grave silence, thus its tune of freedom such fierce a sound. Hence sinister fear raised iron castles upon the chests of sleeping children. Now gilded webs snared the singing, sucked dancing shades out of the weeping nightingale. Her light wing beat on the jagged grid until bled and torn her rainbow feathers. So thank you very much for your attention. Thanks for listening and all the nice feedback. So Ruby is gonna share our very last poem.
Thank you so much. Sun, I'm scared of sunset after a beautiful day. I'm scared that tomorrow the sky will be hanging in clouds, making it impossible for the sun to shine her light on me. I will miss her, and without her, my mind and thought drift into unknown, gloomy train. Then my imagination sends me away. I imagine strolling through little lanes and paths somewhere in northern Italy. There I met her again, and she warms my bodies with her presence. She makes me feel like nothing is ever going to happen and the world is full of hope. Anonymous, thank you so much.
So thank you so much for your attention once again. And now it's time for you to voice your opinions. So we're coming to your impressions, thoughts, and ideas. And I would like it very much if you feel free and open to participate. But if not, feel free to post your thoughts and ideas in the Rise Up Padlet. So the very first question, how did the poems make you feel? You can just raise your hand if you have like an impression. Are you all so shy? I can start out. Like, I'm gonna give some feedback to Sun. I thought it was amazing because you can really sense like this this romantic metaphor. Like for me personally, I interpret the sun like almost being the lover of the person who wrote the poem, and like as if it just has a general very romantic feeling for me, and I think that's very beautiful. And I hope whoever wrote the poem is actually here in the audience today, because I really appreciate you contributing in this way. Thank you, Tony. So does anyone else want to give feedback on the poems?
Yeah, go on. Raise the rent, but for me, yours was really, I don't know, I can relate it to it. I don't know if it's because I'm also from a Catholic background, but it's very hard to feel this heavy atmosphere, or I don't know, it's on your chest, it's above you, it's suppressing you, it's shutting you down. If you have a light, it doesn't show your light. If you have brightness, whatever lightness, it doesn't come out of it. So,
and it's all gets so integrated into your subconscious. I mean, you can relate, and or anyone who has actually been oppressed in their identity in this way, like it's so deeply integrated that you start blaming yourself for everything, and sooner or later it comes out. So yeah, if no one else wants to.
yeah, just adding, it's like you don't even considering something else. It's like there is no other way. It's a mistake. So
Exactly. So does anyone else feel like sharing their thoughts and opinions about any of the poems? If not, I'm gonna move on to the main event of the evening, which is the movie Praia dos Crush. So it's a feminist movie about the struggles and the lives of women from the LGBTQIA plus community in Brazil. And I'm gonna ask our two guests of honor to step forward, Marieta Rios and Danusa. Please feel free to join us on camera. Thank you so much. So I want you to feel comfortable to share what you what you do for a living. Tell us something about yourself and what your main motivation is, especially in making this movie.
Hello. My name is Marieta. I'm 39 years old, and I'm a photographer, and I'm screenwriting, and director of Praia dos Crush, the Crush Beach And my motivation is the political moment in Brazil. I wrote the movie 4 years ago, and 4 years ago, Bolsonaro was elected, as you know, and many things happened, many bad things happened. Marielle Franco was killing. Marielle Franco was a person, woman, black woman, and she was lesbian, and so many things makes me feel and to writing about what happened, you know, and talking about our life, our community, our struggles. It's important now. It's nowadays it's so difficult to do an independent movie because we don't have support to make an independent movie. So I need to asking my friends, and I have a help with a coaching cast. Evan Teixeira, the coaching cast, helped me to make amazing. He makes amazing work with the actors, and we finish. We finish now, and I want to show the movie now.
Danusa, do you have anything to share?
I am kind of numb. My hand is very, very cold. I am very happy to be here tonight. I am gathering lots of emotions together. Today is Marieta's birthday. Marieta is an it's a friend from my childhood. I am among people from the cows. I am already feeling like crying, come on. I don't know, I think there are many, many special things happening right now. But I would say, okay, I have to introduce myself. I'm a former student, former student of the cows. I took my master degree there. It was the place where I met Ella. Ella is one of my mentors in life. I think I will hold to her and to everything she is as an inspiration, as a person, as a professional for, I don't know, many years ahead. I have a lot to learn with her. Yeah, and I had this opportunity to help the Pride team in making this event to happen, and I don't know what an insight it was to merge this everything together, bring Marieta here, bring her movie. There was already a wish to make an artistic event, and maybe my motivation is to bring these people together. And to bring people together, actually, I love to do this. I was very happy when I had the chance to do the events at the cows. So this makes me very happy, and I am glad that everything just happened the way it did, because everything worked very fine. Yeah, and I am so very glad to be here tonight. I have a lot of friends that are also following in Brazil, and yeah, I am very grateful. That's it. I hope this evening works towards the empowerment and pride of all of us here, so that we really feel one more time that we belong, that we are there, that we are happy, and that we can make great things. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And we're also so happy to have you here. Really, it means a lot to us. And just for the people who don't know yet, the cast of the movie actually decided to join us today. So we have some actors here who are also ready to take your questions after having watched the movie. So everyone, I would ask you to mute yourselves, sit back and relax. I'm gonna play the movie now. And it's about 15 minutes, so just feel comfortable. Maybe also turn off your cameras.
Wait. Sorry. I have that text.
No problem. Tell me.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I prepared this text just to really contextualize what is Pride's Crush and why is it so meaningful, and I think it contextualized the what you are about to see. Okay, I don't know what people are crying too. Okay, something happened with my Word document. Oh my God. Okay.
No problem. Just tell free flowing. What does the speech mean to you?
Oh God. Okay. Pride's Crush is a place in Fortaleza, the city where I come from, we come from, which is not like we have over 100 kilometers of beaches in our town, and it's not a place where you go with your family or like a standard place. It's not like any other beach. It's the beach you go with your friends, is the beach you go with your LGBT friends. Is the place you don't need to invite anyone because we all are familiar with that place. The beach is located in like 500 meters of sand, in which we have bars and we have clubs, and the whole atmosphere is very diverse. So artists, lawyers, managers, journalists, everyone from every profession or every behavior, we meet there. We don't need to, after lunch, Sunday and before the sunset, we had this place to go, and we have this place to meet each other without even inviting. You were there, it was for sure you would meet someone you knew from a party the other day or from any other cycles you've been. So this is a place where we all felt very safe. We all felt very happy to be. We were in front of the sea. It was a place I took girlfriends, I took my crushes there. I made broken heart. I just went to clear my thoughts, to face the sea, to sunbathe sometimes, and then went to the water, bathe myself into it, and then like feel lighter, feel refreshed, feel empowered. So I think it's a very powerful place. It's a very meaningful place. For me, it is a place like the cows is a place where I renew myself constantly. So the bridge I make is really like this, and that's why this evening is so meaningful to me in this sense, is because this place is kind of a place where I can go emotionally over and over many times in my life. So every time I want to renew myself, I have to leave things behind. I have to forget who I were and now be empowered to become what I want to become and to be whatever I want to be. I go to this place, I know I have the right people there, people who will support me, who will understand me, who will hold my hand and to just make me peaceful and powerful enough to do whatever I want to do in my life. So just like the cows did to me, Bride's Crush did to me as well. So I am very, 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 very happy today, in this day that is my friend's birthday, and there's a Pride Day, to invite you all to watch this movie and to think about these places and to cultivate these places, to cultivate these people, and to feel this inspiration. I hope you enjoyed Bride's Crush.
Coming to our next part, Ruby, I will hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Esther. Like in this part, I'll ask our audience to tell us what is your first thought of this movie. Like, would anyone want to share, please? Raise up your hand and share anything you would like. Thanks.
And because the cast is actually present, and oh, I see Ella. Ella, you're raising your hand.
Yes, so can you hear me? Yes, so thank you very much for this beautiful and powerful movie. I find it extremely courageous to make it, to produce it under such conditions and what Esther just described. And it's just hugely important to keep talking about those rights and have this artistic presence, artistic, creative and intellectual presence as well. Because as we saw in the movie, the rights can be taken back also very quickly. Freedom that people have, we don't even know if we have the freedom. We don't even realize how quickly it can be lost and challenged, and whole lives changed with that. So thank you very much for being here today and for showing this to us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ella. Is there anyone who would like to answer or to answer any question from the slide, or even to ask any question, because the people who participated in the movie, they are here, they're in the audience, and they will be willing to share something with you, and that will be so encouraging. Thank you.
I actually have a question directed towards the cast and also to Marietta, and Danusa, of course. So the movie was recorded on the beach where you regularly go, right? So Praia dos Crush, it's a place where you used to go together. I found it very intense to watch this scene where they experience discrimination. Where they are filmed with the movie camera. And I just wanted to ask if anything like that actually happened on the beach. Did you actually experience that people were acting aggressively or just reacting to you expressing your sexual identity?
Danusa or Marietta?
Yeah, is Marietta there?
Yes.
Ok. Marieta, do you wanna... Você quer dizer alguma coisa?
I think she has an audio problem.
In Portuguese or English?
Where you are comfortable.
Yeah, whatever you feel like.
Deixa eu ver se eu entendi, porque tem uma batida aqui e eu não estou escutando direito. Algumas coisas estão cortando, entendeu? Ela está perguntando se realmente acontecem essas coisas de preconceito, se aconteceu. Sim, já aconteceu.
Aquela cena da lesbofobia. Uhum.
Já aconteceu, isso na verdade, o filme foi baseado em experiências que aconteceram comigo e também, infelizmente, acontecem coisas.
Okay.
Something like this happens.
Okay. I would translate in parts, so if you want to, se você quiser continuar falando, I keep translating, okay? Yeah, Maria is saying that yes, it happened to her, and these are common facts around that beach, because people are there, and we are in contact with everyone else from the city, so we are not protected from that. Tu disse mais alguma coisa?
Sobre a cena do celular, né, que eu estava conversando contigo, que é muito comum. It's very common the aggressor use the cell phone and film the violence and share in social network. Nowadays, it's common. It's terrible thing.
So it's so crazy. Like do you think it has gotten worse under like Bolsonaro? I mean, he was elected president in 2016 or 17, I think, and like, do you have the feeling like it's been drifting in a worse direction ever since he got elected?
Yes. If Danusa quiser complementar, mas com certeza. Totally.
Yeah. I left Brazil because of it. I saw it coming. That's why I left. I knew things were getting worse. One of the first things that it was proposed by him when he was elected was to finish the civil marriage rights, and this is just symbolic, because in practice things got much worse.
I actually watched like an interview with him from 2019 or 20, and he actually stated in camera, "I'm homophobic and I'm very proud to say so." And when I heard it, my heart stopped. I was like, how can you say that as a public politician in front of a country and it actually gets accepted? I mean, we have these tendencies in Germany and other European countries as well, such as Poland or Hungary, you know, but that was shocking for me personally. Yeah,
he does worse. He used the institutions to reinforce that, because he gets all the homophobes to take part in the government. So in the women family and civil rights ministerium, he put in a very, she is so conservative, she is awkward. When you listen to her, you don't even understand exactly what she means, because it's so twisted in a way that it doesn't really make sense, you know. So he does this all over. He puts this kind of people in high hierarchy posts. So he has worsened the whole structure and the whole context.
maybe I have one last question. Sorry, Ruby. I'm like just really curious about this movie, and this is actually the first time you show it, and the first time the cast has seen it as well. So what do you intend to do with it after this event? Like, do you want to spread it on social media, or do you want to publish it anywhere? What, like, how do you want to like convey the message?
I wanted to bring to Brazil and maybe pass in some festivals, LGBTQ, and make some discussion, debates about our life and political moment, and maybe engagement more women to be more ativas, militantes, activists, and I want to share this movie for the world, because the world needs to know more about the community, our community.
I am also
and helping more women.
Sorry.
I
am also in this mission with Marietta, because actually when I had the idea to bring it to Pride, she had shown me like a preview version. It's not even this one, it was like 4 or 5 versions before that, and I was amazed by what she got. I knew the movie from the script, so to see it and to know everything that Marietta has overcome to make this movie. Meanwhile, her father also died, and there were many struggles. I was very, very proud to see the movie, and I got the mission to to support her in displaying it. So I am now trying to find places here in Lisbon to make movie sessions with Pride Discussion here as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
You can speak.
No, it's just that if no one else has any questions directed towards the cast or the directors, I think we should make a 15-minute break. So it's just for everyone to grab some snacks, to go to the toilet, and just get something to drink because it's really hot. So I will see you guys at 8:18. So see you in 15 minutes, okay? We will continue with the third part of this event. And thank you for staying with us this long. I know it's a hot evening, I know the weather is beautiful, but that you are willing to actually create more awareness, it means a lot to us at Karls Voices. So the third part of this event, the fourth part, I mean, we will actually present some iconic individuals from the LGBTQIA+ community. And we just want to give an example of how you can actually express yourself as an artist, and the scope of reach you can actually have, and what you can do and achieve with the influence you gain if you are active in the creative area or active as an artist. So I'm going to begin with an iconic figure which I am sure most of you have heard of, and if not, just open your eyes, and I really encourage you to really examine these personalities closer because they're very interesting. So the first individual I want to tell a little more about is Rupaul Andrei Charles, also simply known as Rupaul. He is an American drag queen, actor, model, singer, songwriter, television personality, and author. And he is known for hits like Supermodel, You Better Work, or Don't Go Breaking My Heart, which he created in collaboration with Elton John. Since 2019, he has produced and hosted the reality competition series RuPaul's Drag Race, for which he received 8 Emmy Awards. He is actually considered the most commercially successful drag queen in the United States and has become a beacon in gay, drag, and transsexual communities. Now, RuPaul is known for having a very flamboyant and extravagant style. And I just want to give you the RuPaul experience in a very short clip I'm going to show you. It's very short, don't worry. So that is just a short impression of what RuPaul actually is like. But except for his extravagant, flamboyant style and his showmanship, like he's very known for, his biography is even more interesting. Because RuPaul grew up in San Diego, California, and he was the only boy of his parents' 4 children. And eventually he began wearing his sister's clothes and exploring cross-dressing and imitating stars as Diana Ross and Jane Fonda. And the interesting part is that he also grew up in highly religious circumstances in the Roman Catholic faith, regularly attended church, and called himself a true believer. Now, it is a sad truth, and that the LGBTQIA plus community has received a lot of negative backlash from churches, especially fundamental evangelical ones. And the interesting part is that Rupaul believes that you can actually combine being a drag queen and being highly spiritual and believing in Christianity. So he said during one of his Emmy Awards that drag is a way of transcending ourselves and becoming an extension of the power that created the whole universe. So he's a deeply spiritual person and has often mentioned the topic of religion throughout his drag races, especially Christianity, and he wants to unite the seemingly opposing sides, for which he has received a lot of praise, but also a lot of negative feedback. But as with every great mind and every great thinker, this is to be expected. Now, I want to turn our attention to a much more historical figure whose story is rather tragic and yet extremely inspiring, and I'm sure you know about him as well. And it is Freddie Mercury. So Freddie Mercury, born in Tanzania, and his original name was Farrokh Bulsara. He was a British rock singer and songwriter, mostly associated with the iconic band Queen, for singles like Don't Stop Me Now, I Want to Break Free, or also Bohemian Rhapsody. And he's also known for his powerful vocals and his somewhat flamboyant style, and the way in which he engaged the audience with his enigmatic personality and his mysterious charm. So he became one of rock's most dynamic frontmen. And once very late in his career, he stated he was bisexual and engaged in relationships with both women and men. However, a lot of people actually believe that he said he was bisexual and not gay because gay people received a lot more negative backlash in that point of time. And he lived in a time when same-sex attraction was considered a mental illness, a tragedy, or even a joke. And members from this community were barely represented in the media, and the society conveyed a message that was like not being heterosexual is completely unacceptable. So it is a fact that Freddie Mercury hid his sexuality from his Parsi parents who practiced Zoroastrianism. It's a religion where being gay is considered a kind of demon worship, actually. And he wanted to preserve this relationship anyhow. And even though he hid his sexuality from the public for most part of his life, as well as from his parents, he saw live stage performances as a chance to express his sexual identity aesthetically and to break and push gender boundaries that existed at that time. And because he was an artist, he was allowed to do that to a certain extent. So he actually suggested naming the band Queen, which was actually a mocking term for gay men at that point of time. And he wore the most outrageous outfits that left gender and societal norms behind, like angel wing clothes, tight shorts, and leather or PVC outfits, which were actually popular in gay nightclubs at the time, but he made them mainstream. So to demonstrate his sense of fashion and his taste for the breaking with gender norms, I want to show a short clip from his music video, I Want to Break Free. So you can just see the way in which he actually engages society in this sort of change. So for the sake of time, we're not going to watch the whole video. I'm sorry, you can do that later on because it's really entertaining. And as you see, it was extremely, for that time, doing something like that was extremely bold and courageous, and it was a statement. That's what's so special about Freddie Mercury, that he always remained true to himself, even though his life ended much sooner than expected. And this is what is the tragic part of his career and his life, because Freddie Mercury died of an AIDS-related disease, and the circumstances of his HIV infection are unknown. The only thing that is known is that the virus was spreading through New York's city gay community in the late 1970s and early 80s. And Mercury was often visiting nightclubs and bars, and people were unaware of how the disease was transmitted at that point of time. And after displaying some signs of illness, his own HIV infection was confirmed by the late 80s, and he was very upfront with his bandmates and told them what was going on, and they were also able to pass on the story later to his fans, but he actually never told his family what was happening. And the world will always remember him as a legend, and his multifaceted life was attempted to be captured in a biographical movie. It's called Bohemian Rhapsody. I strongly recommend watching it because it's really heart breaking, and it's really emotional. I really recommend you watching that. However, so the thing about Freddie Mercury that's really important to remember is that he is a legendary icon, and which never gave up his passion for music, and he stayed very true to himself, even though the world didn't accept him, and that's what makes him so special. And now I will hand over to Ruby, because we have arrived at the very last part, or like we're entering the last stages of this event.
Thank you so much. As I'll be looking forward here to see who has raised up their hands. In this second session, we are going to have your questions that have been presented onto the Padlet. And with this, I will request Esther to go there and try to read out these questions, and we see how our guests can respond towards these questions. And if you don't mind, Esther, you can also show it to us, like you can share the questions. Denusa, Marietta, are you available?
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
I'm
This
here.
is your part. And also other actors, if they're comfortable, the floor is open for them to share something. Esther, would you like to read the questions?
So can you hear me? Because my internet is rather slow, but okay. I can read out the first contributions on the poems. So someone wrote, I can feel the suppressed yearning in them. And I can't imagine how it is to live with identity that is publicly labeled wrong. And I also grew up Christian, and it took years for me to free myself from the mindset that had been imposed on me through my church. Yeah, Denusa, do you want to say something about this?
I relate a lot. I just think it gets really heavy in this environment, and then it's like you don't have the right to exist. So yeah, but actually we are talking about taking aways, right? We are showing how we can change from that. So I relate, I support, and I'm here for this, for anyone.
And I don't know if the person who posted this is still with us, but I just want to say that people who have been through these circumstances, of course it's traumatic, of course it's very heavy, and it puts a burden on your life, and it's something you're probably never going to get completely rid of. But I just want to say, I think it actually makes you even stronger. Like, it makes you even more sure of who you are if you actually enter the stage where you come out and where you know where you're completely convinced of who you are. So you see everything even clearer than before. That's what I have to say.
Thanks, Esther.
Should we move on to the next part?
Yeah, maybe we can give it a little bit to the audience if anyone would like to comment, and if there is no comment, then we can move to the second part.
And I just want to say, feel free to ask questions, because this is your time to ask questions to the director, the cast, to anyone who was involved in this event. Just feel free to open up.
Since I see no hand in the audience, we can move to the second part.
So, coming to the movie, Praia dos Crush. So what is your first impression of the film? Amazing, powerful, heartbreaking, heartwarming, so powerful, inspiring, touching. How do you think it's relevant for the fight for LGBTQIA rights? So simply spreading awareness about the situation, both about racism and homophobia, is already very important. Not everyone is aware of how bad things can be around the world. I definitely agree.
100% truth.
And if you actually intend on sharing this movie on social media or on, where you said festivals and events, I think it's going to have a huge impact, because that's what art actually does with people. It affects them differently than politics, because it touches them in a more intimate way.
Yes, we need to share this message.
So I don't see any more contributions.
Can I say something about the art exhibition? For me, I saw the movie of Queen when I was long time ago, but for me, his art spoke in volumes, because I didn't know, but I didn't understand at that time gender racism. I didn't understand anything, but he tried to portray his struggle of his life. A 14-year-old child, or I was 12, I don't remember exactly, but I saw how powerful he was, because he created awareness. Because to me at that time, I saw he was being bullied for who he was, because I didn't understand many things, but I saw that his life was through bullying. He was not accepted, but also despite of all that struggle, he managed to make it. So to me, the takeaway from this artistic event, I could say sometimes like what we are going through shouldn't stop us to be who we are, and also what the construction that the public or the social construction that are being built on certain identity shouldn't stop us to go for what we want. Because until today we are able to celebrate many artists who died long time ago. That means there is a lot, and you can be whatever you want, and no any social construction can stop you. And also we should also recognize that art is also a volume that speaks in language, because it speaks to anyone. Because if it spoke to me at the age of 14, 12, I didn't understand anything. That means also art is something. It's non-tonary books, it's non-tonary philosophy. Also artists have their own philosophy that speaks many language. This is something I would like to contribute towards the art exhibition. Thanks, Esther. I give you the floor.
So if no one else wants to say anything or has any further questions, I'm gonna move on to the very last part. Ruby, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, like I really like the movie. Unfortunately, I cannot pronounce the word. It's so hard for me with my African accent. Excuse me for this, but I want to have a feeling, and if they are willing to share, the people who participated in this movie, like how do they feel about it? Like what is their impression after acting this movie? How do they feel that their engagement change the society, and how do they feel that people from far, like right now we are watching it, like how do they feel about this?
Okay, I will translate that too. Então, a gente está chegando no momento de perguntas e respostas, e que as pessoas podem colocar suas impressões também, não necessariamente uma pergunta, mas pode ser uma colocação. E a Ruby está perguntando para o elenco, e aí vocês podem ficar à vontade para responder. Eu posso traduzir. Como vocês se sentiram atuando nesse filme, construindo essa mensagem que acabou chegando tão longe, né? Como é que fazer o filme e construir essa mensagem fez vocês se sentirem? Quem gostaria de responder?
Eu não sei se o pessoal do elenco está na sala ainda. E alguns tinham que fazer outros trabalhos.
Okay. I don't know if they are still available. I think we lost many people when we went to the pause. So maybe people did not follow. It was just a pause.
Eles são tímidos também. They are shy.
They are shy. Yeah, but
Sorry.
I have to tell. Eu posso dizer para eles que eu tô aqui para traduzir. I'm here to translate if they want to speak. Maybe, Marietta, who you know that is still online, so maybe we can address them. Ella has a question.
Ella has a question. Ella, please, you can speak.
I'm trying. My microphone was not working. Marietta, how do you? What is going through your head now that you can show the film for the first time?
Marietta?
Hi. And I don't understand.
Ok.
Help.
Ok. Ela está perguntando, a ela, que foi minha professora, está perguntando o que é que está passando na tua cabeça agora que você mostrou esse filme.
I'm so happy. I'm very proud to finish the movie. 4 years working, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be with everybody and share this message and show what really happened, because the central point of the film is show what happened. Let me see. É o realismo de uma forma natural.
Yeah.
O filme não é um documentário. The movie is not a real doc. It's a fake doc, you know. It is a fake doc. And we need to talk about feminist racism. I am a Black woman. And I'm also grew up in a Catholic family. I was adopted by a white couple, and I have some opportunity to study in good school, but I know many girls don't have, many Black women don't have in Brazil. So I want to help another girls, another Black women to show more things and support. That support, I don't know if I'm saying correctly.
You are.
Is this, and I'm very happy. Thanks Danusa, thanks university to invite me to be here.
Thank you for being here. And I wanted to make a comment about that racism dimension as well, how it was nicely layered there in the conversation. And then there came other dimensions like the sexuality and love and violence and suppression. So the messages were very, yes, nicely layered there, and also intersecting with each other, exactly how we also speak about it here at the university. So yes, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I also want to thank you.
Thanks, Esther. Is there anyone in the audience who has anything to share? Because this is the time where we give feedback, like to do, just to let the floor open, like to everyone to bring in anything. It can be a comment, it can be a question. Feel free to ask your question, because this is the day and everyone is here to answer that question that you have. And also feel free to share yourself if you like to, because it's a free non-judgmental environment. Just be yourself.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks.
So, but if no one else has anything to say, Ruby, is it okay if we move on to the last part of the event?
Yeah, if anyone doesn't, if everyone doesn't have anything to say, we prepared some questions for you. Let's read the second slide.
So we're going to the discussion and reflection part, and this is where the audience really has to engage. I really endorse you to do so. So, first question. In which way do you perceive art as a tool for fighting for LGBTQAI+ rights?
I had a question. I wasn't sure if I wanted to ask it or not, so I let you guys just move on. But can you hear me all right?
If you have your question, we can answer it before we go into the discussion.
Everyone can hear me all right, yeah?
Yeah.
I was just wondering, and I think it kind of relates as well to the first question for discussion that you just brought up. I always felt that the kind of limits of language when it came to kind of categorizing different sexualities, especially, were kind of always an issue, whereby we kind of created a norm, which I'll say with like inverted commas, because, you know, the idea of a normal when it comes to sexuality is totally wrong. But we've created these kind of categories which have allowed us to kind of bracket people and discriminate. But it's defined the language that we understand around any of these things. And I was wondering if, like, relating to that, if you ever feel like because your own sexuality is something so unique and diverse that only in art you could really express that properly, because linguistically we just wouldn't have the words for it, you know, or that the language that we use is kind of so loaded with either prejudices or associations, or just so restrictive and reductive that maybe, you know, the only way for people to truly be able to express their actual sexual identity would be through something as like nonverbal as, you know, like different forms of media. I'd just like to hear if anyone has anything that they want to say on that.
Denusa? Is Denusa still here, please?
Yes. Yes, I am, of course.
Do you want to do the translation or you want to answer it directly?
Yeah, I think it's all. I don't know. I think for me it was music. I felt many things through music, things that I was not able to feel or to know, like, or to experience. I lived through music, and sometimes not even making music, but listening to music. So for me, it helped me to understand a little bit more of my emotions and to perceive what caused reactions on me, and what, you know, like, to bring out some feelings I could not recognize yet. I think art has this dimension. You don't know yet, you don't know your feeling, you cannot label it, and you just sometimes relate to something that you see or that you hear, and then you become to translate this to your rationality until you really can put it in words or in actions or anything. But yes, I think it's like from outside inside, and maybe actually in some time outside again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Michael,
thank you, Denise.
I wanted to thank Danusa for what you just said, because we just 2 weeks ago or so, Wendelin is also here, I guess. 2 weeks ago, we discussed that there is not only one epistemology in a university, which is text. There's so many other ways for creating knowledge, and music could be one, and art, any kind of art could be one, and theater could be one. And as a transdisciplinary university, we'd like to somehow combine, like the module ethics and aesthetics, the aesthetic quality to get a little bit more to, I'm not saying truth, but to wisdom and a deep and another kind of knowledge. So basically, I would hope that after the pandemic, we would see a lot of new initiatives like theater of the oppressed, or LGBTQIA plus art, or any other kind of expression that is not only text. I like text, but it's not only about text. It's about oral, it's about expression, it's about dance, it's about theater, it's about music, it's about paintings and sculptures. And I would love to have this place become this kind of aesthetic quality. Even perhaps have an artist in residence as part of our uni to overcome the kind of one-sidedness of textual knowledge.
Thank you so much, Michael. And thanks so much that the university is looking forward towards this, that it goes beyond and brings in other tools to communicate the message. This is so wonderful. And how can I call in Esther, please? Your hand is up. I don't know if you have a comment.
Yeah, but I think Flora came up before me. Flora also has a question.
How comes I didn't see her? Sorry, I apologize.
No, it's all right. I actually wanted to provide an answer for this initial discussion question, if that's not a problem, because I personally do believe that almost all of us, and I do mean it when I say that almost all of us were born artists. The thing is, what really separates us, let's say students, from artists, is that oftentimes we don't have the courage to express our initial thoughts. And art itself is really powerful, because if you think about that, so many times in so many different countries, politics actually prohibit certain types of arts in order to express their free thoughts, their free wills, and to articulate what they actually deeply think about certain societal issues, whether that's about LGBTQIA+, or whether that's about migration crisis, literally you name it. So art is, at the end of the day, it's really powerful, but not everyone has the courage to actually create art pieces and write down their thoughts. However, what everyone can do is find the form of art that they associate themselves with, or find artists that actually articulate similar ways of thoughts that they have. And therefore, I just want to close it up like real quick. I believe that LGBTQIA+ art is really important when fighting for rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frola. And thanks so much for those encouraging words. I'll call upon Esther.
Yeah, so I know I've been talking a lot throughout this event, but I just wanted to say that for me personally, yeah, I also agree with Flora. For me personally, like writing poems and also painting, like what Edward, what you said before, what you asked was like if it could create like a language or a different sort of language which couldn't be expressed with words. And that was what I experienced whilst painting, you know, as if I could reach like a different dimension of expression. And it really helps the own mental health. I don't know if it's like that for other people, and it's always subjective. But for me, if I could just like funnel my frustration or my thoughts into a poem, I felt so much more, like so much lighter afterwards, as if something had just been like a stone had been removed from my chest. You know, I felt much more as if I could breathe again. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Frola. Is there anyone who wants to share anything, please? So maybe, am I allowed to say something about art from Esther? Like, to me, I could say, like, sometimes art, I will first speak about the general art. That art is so wonderful because sometimes when you see the songs, you may be going into the same situation, and those songs or those movies, they try to give you therapy for your mind. And also, one thing why I see art as a tool for awareness for LGBT community and also for other groups, because it doesn't make noise. You dance to its tune and you enjoy it because it speaks so loud, and wherever you are, in which position, at least you can understand the message, because it's attached to the normal everyday life, and you may not perceive it at that time, but there is a day when that particular art will try to communicate to you. And me personally, I see art as a very powerful tool to create awareness on different things, because it has the music that it brings you in, but also it has a message. Another part that I would like to say, like, for me, I can say, like, art has been my therapy. And also how Flora said, like, art, it's indifferent. Other people can sing, other people can write. And also what we are doing here, me and Esther, also this is art, to organize events, to initiate ideas. And to me, whenever I'm going through a struggle of anything, as a therapy to myself, I make an initiative out of it to create its visibility that this is something is happening, theater presentation, like making free speeches, because in this way people are bringing up their minds. It's not philosophy, it's everyday life. And sometimes I also write short quotations of message. For me, these things speak so loud because there is a hidden message. It's only those eyes that are connected to it can't see the message. So unless you want to see the message, you can see it, but you can see something and you never see the message because you are not the right person for that particular place. And it's so wonderful because it's not philosophy. And I really like art, and it's a very powerful tool because it speaks to the elders, the young ones, the old one, all over the country. So that's it. I'll give it back to Esther.
So basically, the stage still belongs to the audience. So we have actually touched upon.
Yeah, we have someone. We have
Edward.
Edward,
you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, it's me again. I hope you're not disappointed.
No.
I wanted to ask, there's another thing I wanted to say. So something that kind of upsets me sometimes is like, specifically, my mother is lesbian and she's a poet. She's a published poet and writer. And her poems have always been kind of an expression of herself and her life. And they've always had, you know, this struggle. I mean, she grew up in Catholic Ireland as a lesbian, so it took her quite a while to kind of come out and even realize it for herself. And a lot of her poetry is, you know, talking about like the difficulties she's faced. And I'm someone who truly believes that like the artist is the art, you know, as much as the art is, you know, the art is always the expression of the individual. And it kind of makes me upset to think that I think my mother is a fantastic artist who would have created no matter what life she lived. And it's a bit upsetting to see that this pain and this hurt is always going to express itself. And I kind of get a little bit upset sometimes if I see any kind of, you know, phenomenal artist who is, whether now it's specifically LGBTQIA, AI plus, or any other kind of oppressed or marginalized group. I think it's just upsetting to kind of see that this pain and this unfair kind of oppression that they faced is always going to kind of be a part of their art. I don't think it takes away from it, but I don't know. Do you think an artist can ever, like, an artist in an oppressed group can ever kind of remove that from their art, or is it always going to be a part of it? And that's just open to anybody who feels like commenting. Sorry, I ramble a bit.
Thank you so much, Edward, for sharing. Let's wait to someone who would like to answer that question. Thanks, Denusa.
Yeah, I don't know if I can answer that, but I would like to think loud about it. Because it brings me back to something that I think is very important to be alive and to be relating to life itself, which is sensibility. I think to overcome things, to change things, first you have to be aware, and you need your sensitivity, you need your feelings, you need to touch that to know what is happening and where you want to head to. So I think the artists can never escape that, should not escape that ever. And we need these people who are willing to hold on to their sensitivity and to really grasp what is going on, because everybody is shutting down, everybody is protecting, everybody is putting their arms and shutting off and getting hard. We are in this culture of toughness, while being sensitive is so hard, but not much people wants the job. So it upsets me too, that not every artist has the way and the how to express what they are understanding and what they are seeing. But I think it is vital. It is. We need this. We need these people.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Denusa. And thanks so much, Edward, too. Is there like maybe the second, since we are running out of time, like how would like people to share like what like has your perception of art been influenced through this event? And if yes, why do you say so? So if anyone wants to share, and also feel free. Thank you so much. Did you raise up your hand, Esther? Okay, please.
So as a creator of this event, or like one of the creators, I just was blown away by the multitude of expressions that art actually takes form in. Like there is theater, there is poetry, there is painting, there is singing and acting. There are so many actresses out there who belong to the LGBTQAI plus community, and I was overwhelmed by like how subjective and like how subjective art is, and how many shapes and forms it can actually be expressed, and it's just as diverse as ourselves. So art is actually nothing but a reflection of our inner self, and that's why it's so important, because it's a way of us to express our identities in a way that is feasible for other people, and in a way that they can actually see and feel it when we can't express it in another way. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Esther. Is there any other contributor who would like to share, because we are running out of time, or is there any professor from the audience who would also like to share, like to say like how could also add like what is their perception or anything that would be so encouraging for us students to hear also professors' view on this?
I already had my part, right?
Maybe I just make a short comment as the same as Michael mentioned. I'm more a person of written art, written text. Also, although I enjoy very much images, but somehow I live through text. But this event, really what Esther said about the multiplicity of artistic expression, and hearing all your comments or your inputs in this discussion, and of course artistic input, it really made me again realize how very important art is, and particularly to marginalized communities in getting the space to express oneself. So I sincerely thank everyone who has been part of the team putting it together and bringing this experience to us.
And actually, Ella, like perhaps the answer to the question that is part of your lecture and also part of my lecture, can the subaltern speak? Perhaps the answer is yes, and not least by art.
Exactly, and we it's important to recognize that the speaking is not always what we expect as society. It can be something else as well, and it is still exactly as valuable and loud voice than any conventional voice.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much for both your contributions and also your words. I think now I'll give it back to Esther to lead us to the close of the event.
So I just want to thank everyone who has actually stayed in the call for this long, and the power you invest in this event. And I just want to encourage you to take with you like a renewed and maybe refreshed view on what art means, and maybe you will even discover new ways of expressing yourself. That would be like my wish, that you dare to be bold and that you dare to express yourself and your identity. It doesn't matter if it is your LGBTQIA identity or if it's just your own personal opinion that in any other way, but that you just feel bold and courageous, and that you know that it's a way of actually affecting the world and actually producing real change. That's the only thing I have to say. Does someone else want to add anything?
Maybe I will say thank you so much for Marietta and your crew, the actors, and also thank you so much, Denusa, to connect us to Marietta, and also thanks so much for the people who have taken their time to be here. Thanks so much. It has been a very good event, and also Ella to initiate this thing that is still continues, and also the students who put in all their effort. Thank you so much, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm happy that this event, it has gone out of the Karls family, but also including in other people, and this is what makes more sense to students, because if we see what happens in the other society, at least it's very good, because it's so evidence, it's so present. People are talking from the first voice, not the second voice, and this is something that has been so powerful. Having said this, I could say the event comes to an end. Thank you so much for being here. And and anyone who's not from the Karlshochschule, if you want to communicate or anything, you can follow the links and you'll be in touch with the Karlshochschule. Like, the family doesn't end here, it continues. Thanks.